With that, I'll call up my brother Samal Zaccar to continue with the history that we have going on in the afternoon. Blessed be.
First and foremost, just offering all honors, praises, respect, acknowledgement, and thanks unto the great King of the universe, to the God of our fathers, to the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, thanking him for all things and everything. I read you in the tongue of our forefathers, Shabbat Shalom L'Kol.
Shabbat Shalom Zaccar.
Please be seated. Just again, thanking the Most High for life, strength, food, clothing, and shelter. Thanking him for the lives of my family. Thanking him for your lives and the lives of your families. Thanking him for the time that he gave my teacher, Hamore Mishael, Ben Yisrael, who taught so many people in a variety of different capacities. Thanking the Most High God for all things and everything. How's everybody feeling? Right. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just going to keep in with the theme of the day and just give everybody a hand for our new banners. Just because, you know what I'm saying? We ain't going to discuss the spelling mistake on one of those banners that we corrected last time that still appeared. We ain't going to talk about that. But just show you, everybody, you always got to talk to Israel more than once. Huh? Yes, the children of Israel more than once. So we're going to continue on in our history. You know, listen to the speakers of the day throughout the day. You know, with some really powerful messages. If you were listening, you really would pick up a lot. You would have picked up a lot if we were listening. And, you know, just the experiences that the Most High God is putting us through in these days and times, he's putting us through things on a daily basis that we're not really prepared for because things like this haven't happened before. But we need to start to get prepared for it because the Most High is putting certain things in our midst and giving us certain jobs, and we really need to prepare for it. You know, it's a funny thing. I know I always talk about this and me and my very unfriendly face that I have, right? So, Torah YAH started a new job, and now I gotta take the train every day, y'all. So, you people looking at me like, really, you? It sounds like a step down to me. You sure you ain't get fired and, you know, you get what you, nah, but, you know, so, you know, even more so, I'm one of those people that from when I was taking the train in high school with certain rules that you just keep. You don't sit down on the train. I could go from the first stop to the last stop, and I'm not sitting down on the train because you've seen so many things happen on the train, you just don't sit down. But, you know, so my face is even more unfriendly than this just because the other day I'm getting off the train and I'm walking, and I guarantee you, a whole bunch of people walking off the train, and I saw the guy in the day, bunch of people walking on the train, and then the guy stops me and says, excuse me, and asking me for directions. And I'm like, all them people that you just passed, that passed you and you decided to stop me? But, you know, again, it's the Most High God, and I think the Most High God really put things on us where for whatever reason, how uncomfortable we might look, people seem to feel comfortable with God people. So we just need to keep that in mind when you start to go through some of the things like, you know, Yohanan talked about today, and, you know, those good mornings and just those cheerful moods. We are a people who brighten everybody else's day, whether we realize it or not. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to be God's people and putting a damper when we're supposed to be a light, shining a light for everybody else.
That's right.
So we're gonna pick back up in the second book of Kings, starting in the 7th chapter. Chief Benjamin had a doozy last week. So where the Arameans, which are the Syrians, at a certain point they got upset, and now they surrounded the entire. They surrounded. They had the whole city surrounded. Right. Nothing going out, nothing coming in. So for those of us who are city dwellers, when ain't nothing going out, nothing coming in, that means no food is coming in. So like Chief Benjamin read last week, where you had the two women, where they said that the one, they made the deal to eat one person's son last night, and the next night they was gonna eat the next person's son. It just lets you know the type of straits that we were in at this point. I mean, just kind of thinking about it logically for a minute. So what? Like a brand new baby weighs like what? 10 pounds, 9 pounds. So this kid was a little wild.
My brother was 10 pounds.
Your brother was 10 pounds? Yeah. I heard of some 12-pound babies. But this was not a newborn. This was a kid that was there for a while. So let's say this kid was, I don't know, 15 pounds, 3 weeks, 15 pounds. I don't know how you eat a whole 15-pound kid one night and then y'all ready to eat a 15-pound kid the next night. But again, it just lets you know the dire straits that they was in. So we're gonna pick it up, and so we're gonna pick it up in chapter 7, because what actually happens is chapter 6 leads right into chapter 7.
Okay.
We're in the book of 2 Kings, chapter 7. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And Elisha said, "Hear ye the word of Yahweh, thus saith Yahweh. Tomorrow about this time shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley be for a shekel in the gate of Samaria." So one of the things that
the reason that this was something that was unbelievable was because, again, these people have been hungry for a long time. So now, just so that we could kind of wrap our mind around what we hungry, like sometimes you might have cattle around and there still be a famine and you still be hungry, because you can't always eat meat. You need things to move things along, if y'all understand what I'm trying to say. So you need the greens and you need the vegetables and you need those grains to keep things moving. And so that's the thing that they didn't have. So when now he's coming and he's saying that there's going to be fine flour, there's going to be flour and barley available, it's kind of like we ain't have food in however long. The Syrians have the camps, has the city surrounded. Where's this food going to come from? That's why when you go into the next verse and you see that it was such a shock, it was such a shock because at no point nobody saw any relief in sight where food was going to be able to come in, because the Syrians had the whole city surrounded.
Right.
Come on.
Then the captain, on whose hand the king leaned, answered the man of God and said, "Behold, if Yahweh should make windows in heaven, might this thing be?" And he said, "Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof."
Right. So now the reason, and that again, we always take the time to point out how you know Israel, because we Israelites, we always got the smartest mouth. Always. So now the prophet, who everything else he said came to pass. Right. So now he says that you're going to have this barley and you're going to have this flour so y'all could, make things like bread and all of those different things. And so the captain of the king's host is like, listen, so what? If God open up the heavens, or if God make windows in heavens and all that type of thing, might this thing be? This is like one of those similar statements to, like, y'all remember when Barack Obama first got elected president? Like the first time? And you see all of those memes that said, it must be some pigs flying now because we ain't never thought a black person was going to be president of the U.S. So this is that type of statement. And the prophet said, okay, you're going to see it, but you're not going to be able to eat thereof. Come on.
Now there were 4 leprous men at the entrance of the gate. And they said one to another, "Why sit we here until we die? If we say, we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit still here, we die also. Now therefore come and let us fall into the host of the Arameans. If they save us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, we shall but die.
So now you have these 4 leprous men that are right outside the gate. And, you know, with them being leprous, that's the reason that they were outside the gate. Now, again, they hungry too.
Right.
Because even though they right outside the gate, the Syrians are still all around. So they can't get past. So now they like, listen, we hungry. If we could either go to the Syrians and try to get some food, and if they fall on us, we gonna die. It don't make really too much sense to go in the city because there ain't no food in the city. So we go, but if we stay here, we just gonna starve. So we need to make a decision. And they made the decision that we gonna go to the Syrians and be like, listen, we don't got nothing to do with this. We hungry, so on and so forth. So now, come on.
And they rose up in the twilight to go into the camp of the Arameans. And when they were coming to the outermost part of the camp of the Arameans, behold, there was no man there. For Yahweh had made the host of the Arameans to hear a noise of chariots, and a noise of horses, even a noise of a great host. And they said one to another, Lo, the king of Israel hath hired against us the king of the Hittites and the king of the Egyptians to come upon us. Wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight, and left their tents, and their horses, and their asses, even the camp as it was, and fled for their life.
So now, I just want to take a minute to talk about how good God is, right? Because you have 2 scenes. You have the scene on the inside of the camp, in the inside of the city, which is, if you just go back to read chapter 6, verse 32 to chapter 37, to chapter 7, please.
But Elisha sat in his house, and the elders sat with him. And the king sent the man from before him. But ere the messenger came to him, he said to the elders, See ye how this son of a murderer hath sent to take away my head? Look, when the messenger cometh, shut the door, and hold the door fast against him. Is not the sound of his master's feet behind him? And while he yet talked with them, behold, the messenger came down unto him, and the king said,
Okay,
behold.
so no, hold on. So now, I want you to understand what's happening. So what's happening is, on the inside of the city, they were all hungry. And the king is upset because remember what happened when Chief Benjamin talked about last week, where they had the Syrians in the city. And the king was like, so what should we do? Should we kill him? And Elisha was like, no, feed him and let him go. So they let the whole army of the Syrians go, and they went away, and then they came back and surrounded the city. So now that's why the king was upset with Elisha, because he was like, you let them go, now they got the city surrounded, and this is why we all hungry. So he sent for them to go take off Elisha's head because he's upset that Elisha told him to let him go. But just like always, that's us inside fighting amongst each other about silly, small, trivial things. And when you look at what's happening on the outside, is the Most High God is constantly protecting, the Most High God is constantly saving, constantly orchestrating. Because what the Most High God is doing on the inside, those same Syrians that were surrounding that whole city, the Most High God made them think they heard a noise. And as soon as they heard that noise, everybody started to get up and they started to flee because they thought that the king of Israel had hired the Hittites and the Egyptians to come against them, so they all ran away. So that's the Most High God saving us at the same time when we're not even paying attention and we fighting amongst each other. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about the whole thing is, listen, if you think about it, they had the whole city surrounded. So if they had the whole city surrounded, where did some person get through the ranks of the Syrians to be able to go to send some message to anybody to get any help? Right. But they weren't thinking like that because the Most High God took over and the Most High God just had them to flee. Come on.
Same verse or back to 8?
No, back to 7.
Chapter 7, verse 8. And when these lepers came to the outermost part of the camp, they went into one camp and did eat and drink and carried then silver and gold and raiment and went and hid it. And they came back and entered into another tent and carried thence also and went and hid it. Then they said one to another, we do not well. This day is a day of good tidings, and we hold our peace.
So now, I know I stopped you in the middle. So now what's happening is, so now those 4 leprous men, they came upon the city. They came upon the camp of the Syrians, and they came and they saw that it was just in disarray. And so you had clothes just tossed over here, and they went in one camp, in one tent, and we got food, so they stopped. They ate, drank a little bit, laid down, relaxed, went into another tent, ate, drank a little bit, sit down and relax. So now after they went through about 4, 5, 7, 9 tents, now they like, nah, I don't think the thing that we doing is good. After you done sit and ate, maybe we should tell somebody about this. I can't eat no more food, bro. I mean, my jaws is hurting right now. I just can't chew no more. Maybe we should tell somebody about this. So now they get up and say, you know what, we need to go and let the king know and let the people know, because it's people inside the city that are hungry. But they waited till they was full first.
Right.
That's the people I'm talking about. Come on.
If we tarry till the morning light, punishment will overtake us.
After they was full.
Now therefore come, let us go and tell the king's household. So they came and called unto the porters of the city, and they told them, saying, we came to the camp of the Arameans, and behold, there was no man there, neither voice of man, but the horses tied and the asses tied, and the tents as they were. And the porters called, and they told it to the king's household.
So now,
within.
hold on. So you notice the porters did not open the gate. The porter, the 4 leprous men came to the gate, and they like, listen, it's food out here, it's food out here. And the porters are like, yeah, all right, just give us a minute. Just give us a few, we'll be right back. Because they ain't opening the gate, because they just don't know. So now they go back and they call into the king's house to ask the king, so what should we do? They saying that it's food out there. But what you also got to realize is you got watchmen on the wall. You know, you got these people who can see from certain distances, so they could kind of see the setup of the Syrian camp that they've been seeing for the longest. That's how they knew that the Syrian had the camp surrounded, the city surrounded. Come on.
And the king arose in the night and said unto his servants, I will now tell you what the Arameans have done to us. They know that we are hungry. Therefore are they gone out of the camp to hide themselves in the field, saying, when they come out of the city, we shall take them alive and get into the city.
When God leave you, you don't have faith in anything.
That's right.
Teacher.
When God leave you, you can't see the blessing for what it is, because you so busy being paranoid about the things that you did wrong that, nah, God just setting me up, man. God just setting me up. So that's what the king is saying. He like, nah, it's a trap. Look, they tents is, nah, they know we hungry. They've been out here for months. Had the whole city under siege. They know we hungry. They know the last thing that they know at a certain point, they're gonna get so hungry they're gonna come out, and then that's what the king is saying. So he trying to set us up. Come on.
And one of his servants answered and said, let some take, I pray thee, 5 of the horses that remain, which are left in the city. Behold, they are as all the multitude of Yisrael that are left in it.
So you had a whole city with 5 horses left. Some of those horses, I dare say, that got eaten. That's just my opinion. You ate a Big Mac, you ate horses before, so I'm just saying it ain't no different. Come on.
Behold, they are all as the multitude of Yisrael that are consumed, and let us send and see. They took
But they need to take that chance, because the people in the city is hungry.
Right.
And regardless to what it is, when you're responsible for people and you're responsible for the welfare and the well-being of people, it's your responsibility to make sure that those people are taken care of. And that's what the king was. He was responsible. So they said, even though we think it's a trap, we still need to send a couple of horses out there, scout it out, to see what we got. Come on.
They took therefore 2 chariots with horses. And the king sent after the host of the Arameans, saying, go and see. And they went after them unto the Jordan, and lo, all the way was full of garments and vessels which the Arameans had cast away in their haste. And the messengers returned and told the king.
So basically what happened, again, the Most High God had the Syrians shook. We in the city fighting, and they just tossing, running, because they think that the king of Israel hired some other nations to come against them. So now you have this whole highway full of all types of clothes and jewels and all of this different types of stuff, because they just ran and they fled. Come on.
And the people went out and spoiled the camp of the Arameans. So a measure of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, according to the word of Jehovah.
And just like the Most High God, the good, kind God that we know, bring deliverance just like that. When you looking at a situation and you see no hope, and you don't know where the next meal is coming from, or where the next paycheck is coming from, or where the next whatever is coming from, you trust in God, and the Most High God is sending hope. And this is the same thing that he did here. Come on.
And the king appointed the captain on whose hand he leaned to have the charge of the gate. And the people trod upon him on the gate.
Listen, these people been hungry. These people been eating people. These people been eating horses. These people just been hungry. So now, y'all ever been here on a feast day? And y'all try to make order on a feast day for people who had breakfast already? You think you're gonna try to bring order to all of these hundreds of thousand people that's just hungry, and you talk about, okay, everybody take a ticket, and you know, we're gonna make one line right here for the hungry people, and one line right here for the very hungry people, and for the people who are very, very hungry, we got a third line right here. People just coming. So now, the king who he told him, look, appoint you in charge of the food, ration out the food. And he's trying to ration out the food, but people is hungry. So people come in, stomped him, pounded him out, just ran him over because all people see is food. Come on.
And he died as the man of God had said, who spoke when the king came down to him. And it came to pass as the man of God had spoken to the king, saying, 2 measures of barley for a shekel, and a measure of fine flour for a shekel shall be tomorrow about this time in the gate of Samaria. And that captain answered the man of God and said, now,
with his smart mouth,
behold, if Jehovah should make windows in heaven, might this such a thing be?
Well, guess what? Most High made windows in heaven. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Come on.
And he said, behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. It came to pass even so unto him, for the people trod upon him in the gate, and he died.
So now, it's 2 things that you do not stand in front of. Hungry Israelites and Israelites in a fire. One way or the other. So, come on.
Chapter 8, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Now Elisha had spoken unto the woman, whose son he had restored to life, saying, arise and go, thou and thy household, and sojourn wheresoever thou canst sojourn. For Jehovah hath called for a famine, and it shall also come upon the land 7 years. So
now, this is the same woman that was also discussed last week, who she set up the bed for the prophet, and as he was coming in and out, he asked her, you know, tell me what you want. She said, I don't want anything. He gave her a son. The son, how did Chief Benjamin say it last week? What happened to the son? He didn't say the son died.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, that's what he said. I ain't gonna say the son died. Cause then you're gonna have to answer the question. The son flatlined. Yes, the son flatlined. Because we don't want to start dealing with if the son died and then he came back to life and he was resurrected and all of these different things. We don't really want to deal with those types of questions. So the son flatlined and was possibly in some sort of a coma. No coma? Coma don't work either? Spiritual journey? No spiritual journey? Listen. The son was there, and then the son sneezed and he was back. Same son. Come on.
Verse 2. And the woman arose and did according to the word of the man of God. And she went with her household and sojourned in the land of the Philistines 7 years.
Right, so just that quick when the Most High God brought deliverance and he brought them food, just that quick he told them, listen, I'm about to give a famine for 7 years because Israel wasn't doing right. And one of the things that we need to understand is Israel, when we not doing right, you can't expect God to do the things that we want him to do when we not doing right.
Teach us.
Listen, I know we God people and all that. I know God is merciful and kind and compassionate and all of those different things. But listen, in order for us to get that, we need to be right before God.
Teach us.
So, and the reason that Elisha went and forewarned the woman was because that woman was right. So he's like, listen, you need to go away. There's going to be a famine for 7 years. So she went and dwelt in the land of the Philistines for 7 years. Come on.
And it came to pass at the 7 years' end that the woman returned out of the land of the Philistines. And she went forth to cry unto the king for her house and for her land. Now the king was talking with Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, saying, tell me, I pray thee, all the great things that Elisha have done.
Right. So now what happened is she left her house for 7 years to go stay with the Philistines, and she came back, and people was living in her house. People was plowing on her land, getting all types of different things. And so now she cries to the king, and she's like, listen, you know, I go away, I come back into my own house, and people took over my house. So now the king is trying to find out from Gehazi what exactly happened in this scenario. Come on. Hold on.
And it came to pass as he was telling the king how he had restored to life him that was dead, that behold, the woman whose son he had restored to life cried to the king for her house and for her land. And Gehazi said, my lord, O king, this is the woman, and this is her son whom Elisha restored to life. And when the king asked the woman, she told him. So the king appointed unto her a certain officer, saying, restore all that was hers, and all the fruits of the field since the day that she left the land, even until now.
Right. So now, once the king found out who she was, so now the king directed them, listen, give her back her house. Any money and profit and food and anything that came from that land, make sure you give and restore all of that back to her. Come on.
And Elisha came to Damascus, and Ben-Hadad, the king of Aram, was sick. And it was told him, saying, the man of God is come hither. And the king said unto Hazael, take a present in thy hand, and go meet the man of God, and inquire of Yahweh by him, saying, shall I recover of this sickness? So Hazael went to meet him, and took a present with him, even of every good thing of Damascus.
Hold on. So Ben-Hadad is the king that was also read about that surrounded the city. Ben-Hadad was the king that sent Naaman to Elisha to be cured of the leprosy.
Right.
This is that same Syrian king, Ben-Hadad. Now you have Hazael, who's one of the appointees of the king. So now the king is the Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, is he's sick, and he's saying to Hazael, go to Elisha is in Damascus. He says, go to Elisha and ask Elisha, am I going to be cured of this sickness? Because Ben-Hadad already knows that there's a man of God in Israel, because this is the same one that he sent Naaman to, who he cured Naaman of the leprosy. Same king. Come on.
40 camels burdened and came and stood before him and said.
So now, and it shows you, that's the funny thing, is that it kind of shows you the concept in a couple of different ways. The first concept that you kind of see is you see where when you go into somebody and you're asking somebody for something, you don't just come empty-handed. You bring something. You bring a gift. You trying to entreat somebody for something, you bring something. You bring a gift. So now, this is what he sent. He sent, it says, all of the good things of Damascus. He sent 40 camels burdened, full of things, and came and stood before him, and he wanted to know, is he going to be recovered of the sickness? Come on.
Thy son Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, hath sent me to thee, saying, shall I recover of this sickness?
What verse you in?
Verse 10. And
Verse
Elisha
10.
said unto him, go, say unto him, thou shalt surely recover, howbeit Yahweh hath shown me that he shall surely die.
So now, when you talking to the kings or the king's appointees, a lot of times you can't really just be straightforward like that. So he's asking him, is Ben-Hadad going to recover of the sickness? And Elisha's response was, yeah, it's quite possible that you might recover, but God said you're going to die. So now, Hazael is like, okay, so now how do I give this information back to the king? Come on.
And he settled his countenance steadfastly upon him, until he was ashamed. And the man of God wept. And Hazael said,
because there was more that the Most High God showed him. Come on.
And Hazael said, why weepest, my lord?
So this is Elisha crying. Elisha told him about he told him that the Most High God told him that Ben-Hadad was going to die. But then Elisha starts crying. And so now Hazael is like, well, why are you crying? Come on.
And he answered, because I know the evil that thou wilt do unto the children of Yisrael. Their strongholds wilt thou set on fire, and their young men wilt thou slay with the sword, and will dash in pieces their little ones, and rip up their women with child. And Hazael said, but what is thy servant, who is but a dog, that he should do this great thing?
Right. So now, what Elisha is saying, because the Most High God showed me that you're going to come in and you're going to ravage the land. And you're going to kill the young men, and you're going to rape the women, and all of those women that's pregnant with child, you're going to cut up, and all of those different things. The Most High God showed Elisha that that's what was going to happen, that Hazael was going to do as well. So now Hazael is like, am I like a dead dog that I would do such a vile thing? Like, if somebody tells you that you're going to do something like this, most people are going to be like, it's not me. I would never do something like that. But, come on.
And Elisha answered, Yahweh hath shown me that thou shalt be king over Aram. Then he departed from Elisha and came to his master, who said unto him, What said Elisha to thee?
Hold on. So now, Hazael has this whole long trip back to the king to think about how he's going to do this, because basically what has happened is he said, Ben-Hadad, the current king, is going to die, and you're going to be king over Israel. You're going to be king over Syria. And so now what happens with most people is now it start, when I get king, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to definitely set this in order, and we're going to do all of these different things. But now the situation still remains that how do you tell the king that you're going to die and I'm going to be king? Come on.
What said Elisha to thee? And he said, He told me that thou wouldest surely recover.
Which is kind of accurate. He said, yeah, you surely might quite possibly recover and live for another, week or so maybe. So now the king is at ease because the king feels comfortable. Ben-Hadad feels comfortable with Hazael because he feels like the word that came back from God is that he's going to recover and he's going to be okay. Come on. Y'all with me? Okay, come on.
And it came to pass on the morrow that he took the coverlet and dipped it in water and spread it on his face so that he died. And Hazael reigned in his stead.
First instance of waterboarding. So basically what he did, he made Ben-Hadad feel comfortable that he was going to live. Ben-Hadad went to sleep. Next morning he came with a wet cloth, put it over his face, and smothered him that he died. So the only people that were aware of this he was the only one there. So now this is the way he can come out and say, I'm going to be the new king, which is what he did. Because Ben-Hadad had sons. Ben-Hadad had a Ben-Hadad or Ben-Ben-Hadad or whatever. He had sons. So this is the way that he needed to show, and he was going to take the kingdom for himself in accordance with the word of God. Come on.
And in the 5th year of Rehoboam, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, Jehoshaphat being then king of Judah, Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, began to reign.
So now, the history shifts a little bit. You have Hazael reigning now in Syria, and now it jumps back to Jehoram, who's King Ahab's son. We all know King Ahab, right? Married to Jezebel. Did I tell y'all what Jezebel meant? Yes. Y'all need me to tell y'all again? Just check it. Just check it. Just check it. Make sure y'all still with me. And so now they switching back to this part where you got Jehoram, the king of Israel, and you got Jehoshaphat being the king of Yehuda. And at this point, you're going to have Jehoram, Jehoshaphat's son, the king of Judah, is going to take over. So right now, don't get confused. You got 2 Jehorams reigning.
Right.
One in Israel and one in Judah.
Right.
Come on.
32 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, did the house of Ahab.
Right. So now, I want to talk about influence for a minute.
Teach us.
I want to talk about influence for a minute. So, first thing that I want to, when y'all get a chance, just read 2 Chronicles 21. Because 2 Chronicles 21 talks about Jehoram. And this Jehoram, the Jehoram from Judah, oh man, that was a foul dude.
Yeah.
When Jehoshaphat, his father, died, Jehoram was the oldest. Jehoshaphat gave all the sons gifts, but because Jehoram was the oldest, he made him king. Jehoram wasn't satisfied with being king, so Jehoram went and slew all the rest of his brothers just to make sure to solidify the kingdom, which didn't really make no sense because you was already king. So now, go ahead, keep reading.
For he had the daughter of Ahab to wife, and he did that which is evil in the sight of Jehovah.
Right. So now, let's stop for a minute. So now it's saying that Jehoram of Judah married, he didn't follow what his father did, because for the most part, Jehoshaphat was okay. Jehoram followed what the kings of Israel did and what Ahab did, and he actually took Ahab's daughter to wife. Mm-hmm. And I know the theme has been talked about for the last couple of weeks. Surely, you can't, if you are right or trying to be right before God, you can't expect that if you get evil or wicked spouse, that's going to better your chances of being right with God. I know a lot of times we see her and you be like, I think I could change her. No, you can't. The other 13, 15, 19 dudes couldn't change her. Mm-hmm. What makes you think you can? But I know a lot of times we focus on the wrong thing, as we was, as was introduced to us in the back room this afternoon not too long ago. I'm just going to take this minute to talk about influence and a positive example that we need to be as a people. And the funny thing about a positive example is positive examples start at home.
Right.
If you wait for your child to get to the point where they're going to go to school in order to learn their ABCs and in order to learn certain things, right, I guarantee you've waited too long.
Right. Yeah. Right.
If you think that you're going to wait for your child to come to service and let the people who teach at service teach your child, then I guarantee you've waited too long.
Right.
A lot of times, and I know right now we're growing up in a time where I saw a flyer somewhere where they said fathers needed. And it's not that they needed fathers because obviously everybody has a father, else you wouldn't be here. But we're coming up just past an era where fathers fathered children and yet chose not to be fathers. And I know we don't really think about the damage that type of thing does, but we need to just kind of look at our history over the last 30 and 40 years, and you'll see the damage that comes from a father not being around, or the damage that comes from a mother not being around. My mother was pretty good, torah YAH. She was able to, raise both of us in the times that she needed to do what she needed to do, my brother and I. But because it was certain things that she couldn't give us, it was certain things that we still lacked. And so I send this out there to have this conversation with a lot of those fathers who still feel a need that, being a father is not really that important. And because I know a lot of times you probably don't think it's not really important. You probably think you just have more important things to do. Can't tie me down. I move around. That's what I do. It'll be all right. You know the song. Papa was a Rolling Stone. That's me. I'm a Rolling Stone. Wherever I lay my hat is my home. That's what I do. And never listen to the next line of the song, where it say, and all he left us was alone. Now, I'm not exactly sure if he meant alone like by yourself, or alone like amount of money that you owe. But either way, those two bad things to be leaving somebody. So if we can take anything from the things that the different teachers are going to come up within the next, because we're going to continue to talk about a lot of these things, and we need to understand that, listen, the importance of being, of creating better families. Because if you don't have good families, you're not going to have a good nation. Because all nations start with families. And if you don't discipline or teach your kid at home, how you expect you to bring your kid to a place like this? And now we have to now raise our kids and your kids? I mean, I got enough problems with my own. We do what we can whenever we can, but listen, everybody has a responsibility here. And your responsibility of your child starts with you.
Teach us.
And if you didn't want to have that responsibility, then you shouldn't have took the 2 or 5 or 3 minutes that it took to make it. I'm just saying. Responsibility is something that we try to get away from. But yet, we still want to act like I got everything under control and my life is together. If your kids don't do what you do,
Right.
your life not together.
Right.
If you come to service and you praise God and your kids are somewhere else, your life not quite together. And I say that to say, listen, our responsibility starts at home.
Right.
And we need to stop thinking that we have some other obligation that's more important than the obligation that you have to raise a godly son or a godly daughter.
You know what? Yeah.
That's your obligation that comes first.
That's real, bro. I respect that.
That's your obligation that comes first.
Word.
And when we don't take that obligation and when we don't deal with those things in that manner, that's how you have these types of scenarios here, because children are going to be influenced from some place. That's the nature. I mean, that's what happens with being a child. The child sees things and they emulate and they pick it up.
Right.
So if you out in the street and your child is reaching in somebody's pocket, they pick that up from someplace. Just something to think about. Come on.
Verse 19. Howbeit Yahweh will not destroy Yehuda for David, his servant's sake, as he promised him to give unto him a lamp and to his children always.
Right. So now you have the 2 Yehorams, both of them bad. And the reason Israel, the Yehoram that came from the king of Israel, which is Ahab's son, I mean, they were already on their way out. Because they already had Jeroboam, and then they had Baasha, and then they had Ahab. So they were already on their way out. But for the Yehoram that came from Judah, they were kind of in and out. You had some good kings, you had some bad kings. And so the Most High, remembering David, he was a little bit more patient with the Yehoram from Yehuda. Come on.
In his days, Edom revolted from under the hand of Yehuda and made a king over themselves. Then Joram passed away to Zair and all his chariots with him. And he rose up by night and smote the Edomites that compassed him about. And the captains of the chariots and the people fled to their tents. Yet Edom revolted from under the hand of Yehuda unto this day. Then did Libnah revolt at the same time. And the rest of the acts of Joram and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Yehuda? And Joram slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And Achaziah, his son, reigned in his stead.
So now, you still have the Yehoram from Israel, and the Yehoram from Judah just died, and now his son Achaziah reigned in his stead.
And the rest
So
of
now
the
you got Yehoram and you got Achaziah. Israel, Judah. Come on.
In the 12th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, did Achaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Yehuda, begin to reign. 22 years old was Achaziah when he began to reign. And he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Ataliah, the daughter of Omri, king of Yisrael.
So now, I don't want to give the whole story about Ataliah away, because within the next couple of weeks, you're going to have somebody, coming up to teach that. But attire was a doozy. Come on.
And he walked in the way of the house of Ahab, and did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, as did the house of Ahab.
So now, because Achaziah walked and did that which was evil, because that's what he saw his father do.
For he was the son-in-law of the house of Ahab.
And that's what he saw his mother do. Come on.
And he went with Joram the son of Ahab to war against Hazael king of Aram at Ramoth Gilead.
So now, this is where the two stories start to tie together, because now you start to see Israel and Judah having war against Hazael, the king of Syria.
Right.
That's the one who killed Ben-Hadad. And you start to see those two warring against each other. Come on.
And the Arameans wounded Joram. And King Joram returned to be healed in Yisrael of the wounds which the Arameans had given him at Ramah when he fought against Hazael king of Aram.
Right, so hold on. So now, Yehoram, this Yehoram, again, he was a little older. And you know, because this is the Yehoram from 7, where it said that there was the man who the king leaned on his hand. That's the king, Yehoram. So he was a little older. But he, as the king, still needed to be able to go forth out into the battle. Because that's what they looked for. So he went out forth into the battle. I mean, he wasn't necessarily fighting, but he was out there. And the king and Hazael, the king of Syria, they routed him, they ran him out, and so now Yehoram, the king of Israel, got hurt in that battle, and so he came home to recover. Y'all with me? Okay, come on.
And Achaziah the son of Jehoram, king of Yehuda, went down to see Joram, the son of Ahab, in Jezreel because he was sick.
Because they was friends.
Right.
And I know we have these friends that don't do right, but that's my friend. And they stuck by me thick and thin. And that's my friend. And we did all types of things together. That's my friend. So I went to go check out and see how my friend is doing, because that's my friend. If you switch back to, if you go through the book of Chronicles when they talk about Yehoshaphat, Yehoshaphat was also friends with the king of Israel. And when they killed the king of Israel and chased Yehoshaphat home, because the king of Israel tricked them, they killed him and chased him home, the Most High God sent the prophet to him to tell him, listen, you can't be friends with them that don't respect God.
Amen.
Teach us.
That's what he said to him. So now imagine that. God's supposed to be on your side, and you're supposed to be right, and things go wrong in your life, and so now you want to go home, and you want to relax and just be comforted by God, and no comfort comes because the Most High God comes and tell him, listen, that's what happened when you hang out with nasty people. You know how as a parent, when you have a kid, and the kid snuck out the house to say, I don't know, they snuck out the house to go play basketball. I'm just making it something silly. They snuck out the house to go play basketball, and the parent told him not to because he was on punishment, and he was supposed to clean all of the dishes and all of that, and then he got hurt, and he twisted his ankle, and he came limping in the house, and the mother's like, what happened? And he's like, I was playing basketball, and I got hurt. Mom, can you just do this? And she like, that's what happened. You should have went outside. You should have been out there. Fix it yourself.
That's how it goes.
That's what happened. So just bear this in mind when we get into chapter 9. Oh, that rhyme. Y'all heard that? Come on, let's go.
Chapter 9, hallelujah. And Elisha the prophet called one of the sons of the prophets and said unto him.
So now, Elisha getting up there in age too. Come on.
Gird up thy loins and take this vial of oil in thy hand and go to Ramoth Gilead. And when thou comest thither, look out there Jehu the son of Jehoshaphat the son of Nimshi, and go in and make him arise up from among his brethren.
Now, listen. If it's anybody, listen, I'm a Joab fan. If it's anybody who come a close second to Joab,
Jehu.
it's my man Jehu. My man Jehu. Come on. Come on.
And go in and make him arise up from among his brethren and carry him to an inner chamber. Then take the vial of oil and pour it on his head and say, thus saith Jehovah, I have anointed thee king over Yisrael. Then open the door and flee and tarry not.
Listen. So Elisha told him, listen, I got a job for you, young man.
Dangerous.
listen. So you need to go. You need to find Yehu. Take him in the back. Talk to him. Tell him, listen. So the Most High God, you're going to take this vial of oil. The Most High God has made you king over Israel. Drop it and just go. Because Yehu was just that type of dude. Do the job. Tell him he king. Drop that oil on him and just go. So now the young man is like, okay, I guess it can't be that bad. I mean, come on.
So the young man, even the young man, the prophet, went to Ramoth Gilead. And when he came, behold, the captains of the host were sitting. And he said,
so now, you got to kind of look at the scene here. It wasn't just Yehu there. It was Yehu, who was a captain of the host. And then it was a couple of people playing around a table. And they was all sitting around a table. So if you could imagine one of those like old westerns or something like that, where you got the men sitting around the table and they drinking and, they playing poker or something like that. Remember the scene in what's the movie? What's this movie? Marked for Death. When when Screwface and they was around and they was playing dominoes?
I know no Screwface.
Yeah, yes. That's Yehu. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's Yehu. So they all sitting around, and now he needs to go into this saloon type of area and talk to Yehu. Come on. Young man now. Young dude. Like 21, 22. Just starting to be a prophet. I want to be a prophet. I want to be a prophet. Okay, here your job. I don't know if I want to be a prophet this bad. Come on.
and he said, I have an errand to thee, O captain. And Yehu said, unto which of us all? And he said,
so hold on. So obviously they was all captains. Because the young man came in and he's like, I got an errand for you, O captain. And Yehu was like, okay. Which one? Which one you want to talk to, young man? Come on.
And he said, to thee, O captain.
To you.
And
I need to have a conversation with you. I want to tell you, no disrespect. I'm sorry to disturb your domino game. So y'all remember that tonight when we having a domino game, don't be coming in here disturbing no domino games. I'm just putting that out there in the ether, just so y'all know.
And he arose and went into the house, and he poured the oil on his head and said unto him, thus saith Yahweh, the God of Yisrael, I have anointed thee king over the people of Yahweh, even over Yisrael.
Right.
And thou shalt smite the house of Ahab thy master, that I may avenge the blood of my servants the prophets.
I don't remember all of this coming from Elisha, but this, I guess he wanted to make sure he did the job right. Come on.
And the blood of all the servants of Yahweh at the hand of Jezebel.
All that.
For the whole house of Ahab shall perish, and I will cut off from Ahab every man child, and him that is shut up, and him that is left at large in Israel. And I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasa, the son of Achiah. And the dogs shall eat Jezebel in the portion of Jezreel, and there shall be none to bury her. And he opened the door and fled.
So he went through a whole long conversation, anointed him with the oil. Listen, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do all of these different things, and then he bounced. Come on.
Then Jehu came forth to the servants of his Lord, and one said unto him,
Tell me this not the, listen, just listen to how he gonna read it, and tell me that Yehu is not like the coolest dude ever. Come on.
Is all well? Wherefore came this mad fellow to thee? And he said unto them, you know the man, and what his talk was. And they said, it is false. Tell us now.
Right. So this is what happened. So Yehu came back inside, right? After the dude just fled. And so Yehu came, Yehu was calm, right? So Yehu sat down. With my drink.
Pour my drink.
So now the rest of them is like, what would happen? What did he say? And Yehu was like, come on, listen. It's not even that serious. You know how these young men do sometimes, and they over here and they just be spouting off at the mouth. And one of the other dudes was like, it is false. Tell us what he said. Meaning in these terms, yo, Yehu, you fronting, man. Hey, yo, Yehu, you fronting. That's not what happened. Tell us what happened, Yehu. Tell us what happened, bro.
Right.
Go ahead.
And he said, thus spoke he to me,
He
saying,
said, that's not something about me being king or something like that. Go ahead.
thus saith Yahweh, I have anointed thee king over Israel. Then they hastened and took every man his
so
garment.
hold on. So Yehu was like, yeah, he came and he said, Yehu, something about a king and anointing, and he had some type of oil, I think it was like blue now. Pour some oil on me, said something about being king or something about being king. I vaguely remember hearing something like king. Like he said king. Like king. Something about being a king or something like that. Go ahead.
Then they hasted and took every man his garment and put it under him on the top of the stairs and blew the horn, saying, Yehu is king.
Yehu is king. Yehu is king. And Yehu was like, yeah, Yehu is king. You know what I'm saying? I like this. Yeah, blow that trumpet again, bro. Go ahead, say Yehu is king again. Hey, yo, bartender, sweetheart, you know they say Yehu is king, right? You know who Yehu is? I give you a hint. He got 2 thumbs. This guy. Yehu is king. That's my man, yo. Come on.
So Yehu, the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi, conspired against Joram. Now Joram...
Just that quick. So now Yehu is king, and that's all you need. Listen, all you need to do is blow up somebody's head and just give them a little inkling, and oh man, they gonna go. And that's what they did. And that's what Yehu did. Come on.
Now Joram had been guarding Ramoth Gilead.
Right.
He and all Yisrael,
Right.
because of Hazael, king of Aram.
Right. So now, now remember, this is all in Ramoth Gilead. He's not that far away. Yehoram is in the he's in the castle. He's sick. He's wounded from the battle that they just had with Syria.
Right.
Yehu and the rest of the captains, they sitting there and they drinking, partying, thinking about whatever it is. So now, the word is, you need to destroy Ahab and all Ahab's house, which in this case was Yehoram, who he was supposed to be in charge of guarding. Y'all with me?
Okay.
All right, come on.
But King Joram was returned to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds which the Arameans had given him when he fought with Hazael, king of Aram.
Hold on. So wait a minute. Who was with Yoram? Or Yehoram? Who was with him? Y'all don't remember who was with him. Ahaziah was with him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Remember, the king of Judah came down to visit his friend and his buddy. Right?
Okay.
Come on.
And Yehu said, if this be your mind, then let none escape and go forth out of the city to go to tell it in Jezreel.
Right. So now Yehu is like, listen. So y'all appointed me king. This is what we're going to do. So now, if you with me, what y'all need to do is y'all need to make sure we're going to surround this city. We're going to handle this business. And y'all need to make sure nobody escapes out of this city to let them know what happened.
Right.
Right? Come on.
So Yehu rode in the chariot and went to Jezreel, for
So
Joram lay there.
So now Yehu is going. So now one of the things I'm just gonna go back for a minute. Y'all remember David?
Okay.
I'm talking about the king.
Okay.
Okay. And you remember Joab, right? The reason, one of the biggest reasons that David wanted to get rid of Joab a long time ago.
Right.
The problem was, it was that too. Joab knew some things. But also, when you control the army,
You're the strong man.
you the strong man. You the one. And that was why David, at that point when Joab had gotten real strong, that was why David couldn't get rid of Joab, because Joab controlled the army.
They love him.
And they loved him. Why? Because even though at a certain point, David stopped going out with the army,
Right.
but Joab was still going.
Right.
And when you, trust me, I'm telling you this
That's right.
as a matter of a fact,
That's right.
when you are in certain situations with certain people, you become closer to those certain people because you've been through certain types of situations with them.
That's a fact.
That makes sense?
Yes.
That makes sense?
Gang.
I know you know. And that's what happens. And so Yehu had been in certain types of situations with the rest of these men, and that's why they were able to ride and do things the way that they did.
That's right. At that time.
Come on.
Verse 16. So Yehu rode in the chariot and went to Jezreel.
So now Yehu right on his job. Let's go. Come on.
For Joram lay there. And Achaziah, king of Yehuda, was come down to
And
see
he knew he
Joram.
was hurt. And he knew he was hurt. Come on.
Now the watchman stood on the tower in
Now the
Jezreel.
watchman is the person who's on the top of the wall and they watching everything that's going on. Come on.
And he spied the company of Yehu as he came and said, I see a company.
So now what's happening is Yehu is coming with some dudes. And the watchman is looking and he's like, I see some people. And I'm not exactly sure what's happening here, but I see some people and they coming. Come on.
And Joram said, take a horseman and send to meet them, and let them say, is it peace?
Listen, so we're not exactly sure who this is yet. Grab one of the young men, get him on a horse, let him go out there and meet this company and see if it's peace. So now what's gonna happen is the young man is gonna ride out on a horse, the watchman is gonna look, and he's gonna watch to see what happens to this young man that's riding around on a horse to meet somebody, to meet this crew. Come on.
So they went one on horseback to meet him and said,
You notice how all of the young men get just the baddest, worst jobs?
Yeah.
He had the young man had to go talk to Yehu. Young man, imagine that. Somebody telling you like, listen, yo, listen, it's man. Yo, you dead wrong. Yo, it's mad dudes coming up Hamilton Avenue. I mean, it's just mad people. They'll tell you, go outside. Go meet them dudes and ask is everything good. Come on.
thus saith the king, is it peace?
So now that's his thing. Go ask, thus saith the king, is it peace? Come on.
And Yehu said, what hast thou to do with me, with peace? Turn thee behind me.
Listen, Yehu said, listen, my man, so he came up and he asked him like, yo, is there peace? And Yehu was like, peace? What you know about peace, boy? Get in line. They know Yehu. Yehu is the captain of the guard.
Right.
Get in line. Peace. Peace. Get in line. Let's go. Come on.
And the watchman told, saying, the messenger came to them,
So
but
now
he
he's
cometh
like,
not back.
listen, he went, we seen him, and then, but now he just never came back. Come on.
Then he sent out a second on horseback
Send
who
another
came
one.
to them and said,
Send another one.
thus saith the king, is it peace?
Ask him again, is it peace? Come on.
And Yehu answered, what hast thou to do with peace? Turn thee behind
Tell
me.
me this dude ain't the coolest dude since sliced bread. He said the second dude comes, and the second dude is like, is it peace? And Yehu is like, is it peace? Man, you better get in line before you get a piece of these hands. Get in line, boy. Let's go. Come on.
And the watchman told, saying, he came even unto them,
Listen.
and cometh not back.
Two of them went, and now, I mean, and nobody came back. I don't know what to do. Come on.
And the driving is like the driving of Yehu,
Listen,
the
this
son
look-
of Nimshi, for he driveth furiously.
This look like Yehu. We've been out there with Yehu, and I'm just telling you, this look like Yehu. Yehu was in chariot on the horses, just, and that's our man. He going fast, and then you dude coming back. What is there? Get in line. He going. Yehu in front of everybody else. Everybody coming up behind, bringing up the rear. This look like Yehu. Come on.
And Joram said, make ready. And they made ready his chariot.
Listen, everybody get ready. I don't know what's about to go down, but something about to go down. So everybody, look, let's just get ready, and we need to figure this out. Come on.
And Joram, king of Israel, and Achaziah, king of Yehuda, went out, each in his chariot, and then went out to meet Yehu.
So now, listen. So they went out. You could tell that they was out of touch. They went out in the king's chariot. They probably went out with the royal king robe on. This dude don't know who I am, man.
Right.
Let me go talk to this dude. Yeah, put your robe on. Put your king robe on. Go out here in the chariot and just have a conversation with this dude because obviously he don't know what's under. He don't understand what's going on. He don't know what he's dealing with. Come on, let's go. Come on.
And they went out to meet Yehu and found him in the portion of Naboth the Jezreelite. And it came to
Irony.
Yeah.
Irony. Come on.
And it came to pass
Who did
when
this
Yoram
portion?
saw
Warren Yitzhak
Yehu.
did the portion, right? Come on.
And it came to pass when Yoram saw Yehu that he said, "Is it peace, Yehu?"
So now, obviously, Yehoram didn't get the hint. So he's like, he's coming up on him. They close, and he's like, Yehu, is it
Out of touch.
peace? Peace? Bro, come on.
And he answered, "What peace? So long as the harlotries of thy mother Jezebel and her
So-
witchcrafts are so many."
You talking about a harsh burn?
Yeah.
That's a harsh burn.
Yeah.
Peace. Your mama's a hoe. Look at her witchcrafts and harlotry and peace. No, whoredom. Yeah, your mother's a whoredom. Right. Peace. Peace. Come on.
And Yoram turned his hands and fled and said to Achaziah, "There is treachery, O Achaziah." And Yehu drew his bow with his full
So
strength.
now he's like, listen, this ain't gonna go well. Achaziah's treachery. Let's go. Yehu drew his bow with full strength. Now, mind you, he's still on his chariot going. Come on.
And he smote Yoram between his arms.
Like,
And
right, so Yoram is going on his horse and his chariot, he's going, and Yehu is like, right in the back. Come on.
And the arrow went out at his heart, and he sunk down in his chariot.
Right in the middle. Came in the back, went right through, and he just slumped down right in the chariot. Come on.
Then said Yehu to Bidkar his captain, "Take up and cast him in a portion of the field of Naboth the Jezreelite. For I remember how that when I and thou rode together after Ahab his father, Jehovah pronounced his burden against him. Surely I have seen yesterday the blood of Naboth and the blood of his son, saith Jehovah. And I will requite thee in this plot, saith Jehovah. Now therefore take and cast him into the plot of ground according to the word of Jehovah."
Irony. Because this is the same plot that his father Ahab took from Naboth when Jezebel conspired with the two evil witnesses to say that Naboth cursed God. And I remember the question, I think the question was asked, or it was discussed, where they was like, well, the field wouldn't have become his anyway because the field would have became his son's. But if you read it, it said the blood of Naboth and the blood of his sons, which seems to give the impression that they not only killed Naboth, but they killed his sons as well, because that's the only way that you would have been able to take claim to that land is if there was no next of kin.
That's right.
So that's what the text seems like to me. And talk about the irony of it, that after they killed Ahab's son, they tossed him right in that same plot where Naboth's blood came and was drawn and went right into the ground. Come on.
But when Achaziah the king of Yehuda saw this, he fled by the way of the garden house.
That was his friend.
And Yehu
He was just
followed.
coming to visit his friend.
And Yehu followed after him and said, "Smite him also in the chariot." And they smote him at the ascent of Gur, which is by Eblim. And he fled to Megiddo and died there.
Isn't that what you talked about this morning? When you hanging around with evil people, when God come to visit, God visits everybody.
Correct.
Everybody.
Teach us.
So I'm not saying we shouldn't have friends,
Right.
but listen, when you with somebody, just like was spoken about this morning, you hanging out with them and y'all good and you just don't have what it takes in you to tell them that they wrong and you still hanging around them and y'all still tight. I mean, me personally, I don't know how you could be tight with an adulterer anyway. I don't know how you can be tight with an adulteress anyway. I don't know how you can be tight with a murderer or a rapist or a pedophile anyway. How you get tight with them? But just like you see, that was his friend. And when the Most High God sent judgment, and you know that that was God sending judgment, Yehu was judgment, because that's what God told Elisha to tell a prophet to do. And that's what Yehu's job was. So when God brought judgment, everybody who was hanging out with the person to be judged, everybody got it. Come on.
And his servants carried him in the chariot to Jerusalem and buried him in his sepulchre with his fathers in the city of David. And in the 11th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, began Achaziah to reign over Yehudah. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it. And she painted her eyes and a tie in her head and looked out the window.
So now, I'm going to just touch on this for a minute. This whole painting her eyes thing, right? So, I'm going to just say this. And you take it however you want it. If you, this whole concept of her painting her eyes right before, you know, she was preparing herself for what was going to be this battle, and right before she was going to be doing these prayers before her gods and all of that. And if you want to, just so you don't think I'm making it up, if you want to reference it, they also talk about that's exactly what Israel and Israel started to do when they went out to, right before they were about to go out to serve false gods. There was that ritual where they went and they painted their eyes and all of those different things.
Teach us.
So now, that whole blue makeup, eyeliner, all of that stuff, I think that for those of us who may do it, we really need to look at this scripture and the scripture in Jeremiah and just reconsider it, because that was clearly something that they did right before they were about to start to go out to worship for their gods. And that's what she was doing here. So she painted her eyes and she went to look out the window to see exactly what was happening, because you know now there was this uproar that was going on. Come on.
And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said, "Is it peace, thou Zimri, thy master's murderer?"
Right, so her mouth was off the hook. She already knew. She was like, is there peace? Remember Zimri? Zimri was the one who killed his master, and then he reigned for 7 days.
Yeah.
That was Zimri. He was the captain of the host. He killed his master, and then he reigned for 7 days. And once he realized the gig was up, that's when he went home and set a fire on the house and burned it down over him. So that's who she's referenced now. Like, you talking about peace, peace. But is there peace, thou Zimri, thy master's murderer? Because that's what she's calling Jehu now. Because Jehu, who was Jehoram, who was Jehu's master, Jehu just killed him in accordance with God. So that's what she's referring to. This chick was off the hook. Off the hook.
Crazy.
Come on.
And he lifted up his face to the window and said, "Who is on my side? Who?" And they looked out.
So that's her. All she talking, but she all the way up top, and on the wall, up top in the window. You know those Israelite thugs that want to Facebook thugs and Israelite window thugs. Yo, if you was up here right now, ooh,
Yeah.
that's what she was doing. Jehu couldn't get up in there because Jehu would have had to have gotten into the castle first, and then that was a whole battle. To me, Jehu seemed like the cool type that he wasn't really. I ain't really about all that. So Jehu's like, who on my side? Come on.
And they looked out to him 2 or 3 officers. And he said, "Throw her down." So they threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and on the horses. She was trodden underfoot.
So right. So now you know she was like, throw her down, and she's like, throw who down? I know you ain't throwing me down. Get off me. I know you throwing me. Dropped and she smacking all up against the wall, blood spattering all up against the wall as she going down. And then when she hit the ground from the 4th floor, wherever she was at, she hit the ground. Now all of those horses just riding over her, like if the whole wall bladder splatter thing ain't do it first.
Right.
Come on.
And when he was coming, he did eat and drink. And he said, "Look now after this cursed woman,
Listen, so
and
after,
bury her."
So now this was, look. So now they finished. You done shot somebody with an arrow. You done chased the other king. I mean, shot a king. You done chased the other king and had the other king killed. All in a day's work. Who want to get something to eat?
Yeah.
Got something to eat. They sitting down and they get something to eat and they think about it. Come on.
He said, "Look now after this cursed woman, and bury her, for she is a king's daughter."
Right, so now he's like, yeah, you know what, I mean, Yehu, maybe you shouldn't have had them throw her all the way down. Yeah, you know what? Just go ahead and go grab her and bury her because, she is a king's daughter, by the way. She is a princess because she was the daughter of the king of the Zidonians.
Yeah, don't be
So
sorry.
just go ahead, pick her up, get off the ground. And whatever. Show her some sort of respect. Come on.
And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull and the feet and the palms of her hands. Wherefore they came back and told him, and he said, this is the word of Yahweh, which he spoke by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, in the portion of Jezreel shall the dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel, and the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, this is Jezebel. Hallelujah.
Right. So they went back to bury her, and there wasn't nothing left except a skull and some hands and some feet. Because those African wild dogs that you see on those National Geographics, all those, they came through, just like God said years earlier. Just like God said, the dog's going to eat up her blood in a portion of Jezreel, and that's what happened. So the African wild dogs went, ate up all that, and the only thing that was left was a skull and some hands and some feet. How y'all like this history?
Great. So Mayo.
I thought it was pretty decent. Thought it was pretty cool. God is good. All honors, praises, respect, acknowledgement, and thanks I offer unto the great King of the universe, to the God of our fathers, to the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, thanking him for all things and everything. Shabbat Shalom L'Kol.
Shabbat Shalom. Blessed be.